Howdy doody everybody, I hope you're doing great. In today's video we're talking about Starfield. I'm a huge sci-fi fan myself. I love a bit of Halo, I love a bit of Star Wars, and who else loves a little bit of Star Wars? My boy Paradise, who's here to talk.
Hey, I'm back. I love sci-fi. It's actually one of my favorite genres, so I'm excited to talk about this because it's been a while since we've really spoken about this, you know?
Yeah, we're going to talk about some details because they're dropping a little bit of those trailer teasers and a little bit more information. We're going to go through some of the stuff that we already know and kind of sum up all of our Starfield knowledge into one video and kind of give our opinions on what we expect from Starfield, being fans of sci-fi and all of that jazz. If that sounds good to you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So the first detail, Paradise, that we're going to be talking about today is the release date. It comes out next year, November. Personally, I thought it was going to come out a little bit earlier than that. I thought we'd be playing it like right now, but
same.
Next year, I'm glad that it's coming out next year because there's too many games on at the moment, so I'm not really bothered to be honest. How do you feel about it?
I think I wanted it to be sooner, like you're saying, but yeah, there's been a lot going on lately, so it's not too bad. And I mean, I've said this before about like release dates. I would rather every game company just delay their game for like however long it takes for the game to be finished and good. Like I think a lot of people are like me. I'm just tired of getting games that release and they're not in a like polished, finished state. And it sucks when like, you know, the release dates are pushed back and back and back, but I'm all for it if it's going to make the game better. That's just like what I've come to accept from going through the like trial and tribulations of all these like other games that have released and not been in a full polished state, you know.
Sometimes you just need to actually, like, from a business perspective, it makes sense to get the games out though, right? So sometimes if you're creative, I don't know if you've working on a video or you guys in chat are doing anything creative in general, you just don't ever feel like it's finished, and certain times it's like that with games as well. But obviously there's different levels of that, and the stage that Paradise is saying is just like a good enough polished state. It doesn't break as soon as he plays it, so I definitely understand where he's coming from. So yeah, again, this game launches on November 11th 2022, so next year we're gonna get our hands on it. And leading with that, also it's coming to Xbox Series X and the Xbox platforms and PC, but it's not coming to PlayStation. They've like said this numerous times.
I wonder why that. What happened to Bethesda recently?
They got bored. They got bought out. Do you feel like people are gonna be salty about this one? I know, like the fanboys are gonna be salty, but what, like the general audience? You feel like as we get closer to launch and people realize that it's actually not coming to PS5, that people will get annoyed.
I think that yes, there will be people that are annoyed. However, PlayStation 5 has some very good exclusives, or just PlayStation have like some good exclusive titles already. So like I don't think that they can be too upset when they have like all these great games that, you know, Xbox players are also missing out on. So
they got like
it's fun to see Xbox have something that looks really exciting. That is exclusive. Yeah, that's what I.
Because PlayStation's got like Ragnarok, they got Horizon coming next year, and I'm sure they're gonna have more on their slate. But definitely, like Xbox is like spooling up and yoinking some games. And I think the other thing to really point out is that this is coming to like Game Pass as well, which is just like mad. So every time I see a big game,
not just that though, right? It's a launch Game Pass.
Yeah, title. So it's like their day one.
I can't even hold back. I got to talk over you 2 seconds because I freaking love that. I love that so much. Game Pass having these big like AAA launch day titles. This is like people don't put respect on the Game Pass. It is literally like a small subscription amount. It's like what, $9.99 or something, like a month,
up to 14.
You get like multiple launch AAA titles as well as like the hundreds of games that are in there. I feel like I'm advertising it right now, but I've. You know, like when you're back in like school or in university and like cash is tight. Imagine if back then you could have just bought Game Pass and got like some real good launch day titles on the release date. That is huge for me, and I just think what a time to, you know, to be alive, especially for like younger gamers that don't have like a job yet, so they're relying on smaller amounts of money, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And like people's arguments against Game Pass right now is that it's not a sustainable like business thing because they're putting so many games in and it costs so much to kind of make it functional and sustainable, that it might not necessarily be sustainable in the future as like a business revenue factor. But like at the moment, from a consumer standpoint, like who cares? Like we're just having fun. We're getting all these games. Like if I have to boot on my PC, like I know I'm getting that like Xbox game like day one free, which is pretty cool.
I think it's like the Stalker game that the upcoming one is also like a launch day title, which I'm really excited for as well. So
kind of nice.
I love when I see that.
So one of the biggest quotes that we have is from like Todd Howard, and I think he says this about like every Bethesda game that comes out, but he says that this is going to be the biggest, most epic science fiction thing that you could possibly imagine. Do you guys feel like it's going to live up to that? That is huge words there. I don't personally feel like it's living up to it. I feel like he gasses up it's his job to gas up games, but I feel like he gasses me up like Peter Monolix, you know, the guy that used to make Fable back in the day.
Do you remember Goddess?
Yes.
It reminds me, the most recent one is Rise with the massive expansion, which I'm hoping is massive.
Yeah.
But they love to hype up, their titles. But understandably, they do that. But I do think it should be taken with a pinch of salt, because Cyberpunk, with the massively like ambitious ad campaign that they did, and then what happened to Cyberpunk, and we've seen before what over-promising can do. So for me, like, I try to keep my expectations like as low as possible, but like hopeful.
Yeah. So the next huge thing, and this is a huge one for me, is that it's on a brand new engine. Skyrim, I could only play for like a little bit. I know people love that game and it's been released like 10 million gajillion different times. Fallout, I like the look of that game, but I could never actually play it to completion. I just didn't like the actual technology that it ran on. It just looked like it was dated. It just looked jank, and it was jank from what people said as well. But they're upgrading the engine. If we see like the in-game trailer that is running at the moment, it just looks sick, and hopefully it isn't bruck and just dead like the old one, basically.
A couple things to say about this. I'm pretty sure this is the first title that they're using the Creation Engine 2 for, right? Always dubious when it's the first game on a new engine, because you don't know what to expect, right? Yeah. That being said, I'm going to go the opposite way to what you've said. The Creation Engine was Skyrim and Fallout 4. And Skyrim and Fallout 4 are like, at least in my opinion, like some of the most fun I've had with both the Fallout and the Elder Scrolls series. Oblivion is pretty good too. I did really enjoy Skyrim. So I'm like, for me, that's very exciting, because it's like, I know that I loved those two games. So I'm hoping that this is going to be like even better, because it's the new upgraded, whatever changes they've made to it version,
Yeah, definitely. I think they were both excellent games, but I just couldn't enjoy them because the technology like behind it just jarred me essentially. But I always felt like I was missing out on playing those games because I couldn't get over that hump of like the Bethesda game. But yeah, I'm excited that's why I'm so excited about this one. If it's like those Bethesda games that I like the elements of the gameplay style of in the new engine and more up to date, I'm just like, yeah, this is it. I'm gonna kind of be able to look past that and have a bunch of fun. And you're talking about it being on a new engine and it not necessarily been proven. This game has been in development from before 2018. It actually moved out of pre-production into production and in a playable state in 2018. So it's been yonks since they've been making this.
That's like, I love to hear that. It also, you see, now I'm getting excited, because it means that they've had a lot of time to improve upon it and make sure it's like really good. Like if it was in a playable state in 2018, like internally, it's releasing in 2022. That's a lot of time to make sure it's good.
Definitely.
But I will counter that by saying it's quite an ambitious game, right? Yeah. It's not just like a Fallout game or or even an Elder Scrolls game. They're all ambitious, but this is Starfield. Yeah. This is promising quite a lot.
I will say that though, development time doesn't necessarily correlate to it actually like coming out that state. Remember when everyone was like, yeah, the next. I personally as well was like, oh, the next Halo game's going to be huge because it's been in development for like 6 years, and then it comes out and it was like warped as well. A lot of the games that are in development for a long time are more in development hell that's just been like rebooted and stuff like that. But this sounds like it hit production quite a while ago, so hopefully it is in a good state. And from the trailer that we've seen and the footage that we've seen looks pretty cool anyway.
I got a little tidbit of information as
Go
well.
on, drop it on us.
So Starfield is their first new universe that, like, I guess Bethesda have made in 25 years.
They're like Nintendo. They're just sitting on them IPs. It's like...
Yeah. Now, I will say the last like studio that I can think of that completely picked up a brand new IP and ran with it, off the top of my head, is actually Horizon. They went from like Killzone to Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
And that was that was huge. That was a great game. I don't know anyone that didn't like Horizon Zero Dawn, to be honest. So, you know, if we can use that as an indicator, then maybe Starfield could be really good.
Yeah, it's like was it Naughty Dog and Jack and Daxter? Or did they make... I can't remember which one it is. I always get confused if they made Ratchet and Clank. No, they made Jack and Daxter, right? And they went from
I think so, yeah.
PlayStation 2 Jack and Daxter to Uncharted, and then Uncharted is like a huge franchise. And then they did it again, and they switched it up, and they went to Last of Us as well. So hopefully this is... Well, their other games are already big, but I'm hoping that this one will be like the replacement for Mass Effect, essentially, because we don't have that Mass Effect in the market. But obviously EA is also making a Mass Effect, so that's going to be an interesting thing to see when those both hit.
I want Jack and Daxter back, though. I won't lie. Jack and Daxter is like a special place of like nostalgia for me. So maybe they brought Ratchet and Clank back, which I know is different, but they're very similar games, and Ratchet and Clank did pretty well. So bring back Jack and Daxter.
Yeah. So there's been a few like short trailers that they've actually dropped recently, just showing off different locations. There was one that showed off like a spaceport. The spaceport is meant to be essentially like the capital of like the strongest faction in the whole game, and it looks pretty cool. But until we see some in-game assets and not concept art or animated concept art, I'm not going to get too excited about it. They're showing off two other areas, one that was kind of like a dilapidated city, and another planet that was basically like a floating city on top of like water, kind of looking pretty cool. I always like when they have these manufactured structures on top of water, kind of like Europa and stuff like that. That looks like really like cool, those icy planets and stuff. So
to me, these concept art, a lot of them looked like if you were to mix like Star Citizen with like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, definitely.
Like that, I love that. So I'm really I want to see what it actually looks like in game, though. You know.
Yeah, I feel like the in-game assets from what we saw in the trailer look pretty cool, but until we actually see like how the combat functions and all of that stuff, we need to kind of really take a step back and just like chill with it. But I feel like it's just nice to have more sci-fi like RPGs coming out as well. Like I know that you played like Outer Worlds. Was it Outer Worlds or Outer Wilds? It's both of them.
It was Outer Worlds. Yeah. I actually enjoyed it. I actually really enjoyed it. I will say that I think that they were going in the right direction.
Yeah.
I think that it's one of those, for Outer Worlds specifically, like we need to let them have like Outer Worlds 2 and 3 before it really gets into its stride, I feel like.
Yeah, and they're going to have a bigger budget now as well, that studio, to be able to do stuff, because they've been like yoinked by Microsoft as well, right? It's like Microsoft has like the Infinity Stones of Western RPG makers like in their hand, and they're just like making all the games. So it's going to be an interesting time. I want to see if Starfield lives up to expectations. Do you have any final words about this game?
I'm going to say like let's not get too hyped. Let's temper our expectations. This is like my new catchphrase. Temper your expectations. If you do that, you won't be disappointed, and you might just have like your mind blown if it's that good when it comes out. You know, that's how I like to like live my gaming life now.
Yeah. How about you guys in the comments vote and see, like, we can have a little timestamp, a little time capsule of if you think this game's going to be good or bad when it comes out. In the chat, in the comments, put down your vote, and then we'll come back to this video in about a year's time once we've actually had our hands on it and see exactly what Starfield is saying and if you're right or not. Paradise, do you have any videos going out today or tomorrow or in the future?
Well, this week we're gonna have some interesting videos coming up for another game that we're both super excited for. But today I think it might do. There's been some new dev blogs released for New World, and you know we recently had our conversation about New World and all the issues. Well, the dev blog addresses some of them, so I'm gonna be talking about that.
Nice. I feel like the funniest comment I saw in your last video was just like, Paradise, why do you continue to play this game? It's so funny.
I've got no good answer for it either.
Alright guys, see you on the next video. Goodbye. Hey guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget you can subscribe so you don't miss another video.